We were discussing chapter number 8, Cell, the unit of life. In the previous session, we have discussed the organelles and the components found in prokaryotic cell. In this session, we have to learn which are the organelles of eukaryotic cell, or what are the components you can find into a eukaryotic cell. Okay, so now onwards we will learn the characteristics of eukaryotic cell along with its organelles and the components, and we will discuss one by one them. Okay, so let's start the first component. Okay, before I start the components of an eukaryotic cell, I will give you a brief overview of eukaryotic cell, what the eukaryotic cell contains. Like as we have discussed many times, the eukaryotic cell, okay, like any other cell, it is consisting of three components. These are the three basic components you can find in any cell. First is cell envelope. This is a cell envelope. Second one you can find in the center is nucleus. And the third thing you can find is cytoplasm. Okay, so these are the three components you can find in any cell, and this is a eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell also possesses these three components: cell envelope, nucleus and cytoplasm. Okay, like the other cells. We will discuss each one by one. Today we will discuss one of the components that fall in the category cell envelope, means a boundary or the covering of a cell that you can find into a eukaryotic cell. Okay, now you know that in eukaryotic cell there are two examples, main two examples of eukaryotic cell. First is a plant cell and the second one is animal cell. Okay, plant cell has two layers around them. How many layers the plant cell contains? Two. The inner one is cell membrane. The outer one is cell wall. There are two layers in plant cells: cell membrane and cell wall. Whereas animal cell, it contains cell membrane, which you can also call it as plasma membrane. Okay, so we have to discuss both cell membrane and cell wall. But as the cell membrane is present in both plant and animal cell, we will discuss what is the characteristic of this cell membrane. Okay, then we will see what are the characteristic of cell wall. Okay, the cell membrane of plant and animal cell is mostly similar. Okay, there is few changes that takes place that we will discuss later on, but most of the cell membrane of plant and animal cell are same. So we will learn it through a single cell membrane, what it has. We will learn the general components of cell membrane. Okay, so now I start the cell membrane. Okay, so in cell envelope, first we will start with cell membrane, and then in the next session we will discuss cell wall, that is the another cell envelope component. Okay, so let's start with a cell membrane. It is a component you can find into every cell, whether it's a bacterial cell or plant cell or animal cell, you can find this cell membrane. The other name of this cell membrane can also be called as plasma membrane. Okay, plasma membrane, this is another name of cell membrane. Okay, now we want to, or we try to learn the structure of this cell membrane. In the initial days of discovery of a cell, we don't have such a hi-fi microscopes. We don't have a kind of an electron microscope. The proper structure of this cell membrane is only going to reveal after the discovery of an electron microscope. Up till now, or until that time, we are just a chemical data, we have a just chemical data through which just we try to know what is the chemical composition of cell membrane. So initially we just have a biochemical data, and then now due to a discovery of an electron microscope, we also have a structural data of cell membrane. So we will discuss both in detail. So if you see the cell membrane chemically is made up of lipids and proteins. Clear? What the cell membrane is made up of? Cell membrane is made up of lipids and protein. The amount of lipid and protein in different cell might going to vary. Okay? It is not same. The quantity. All the cells are made up of cell membrane. The cell membrane of all the cell is made up of lipid and proteins. But the quantity of lipid and protein in different type of a cell is not the same. They are of a different type. Like for an example, when we are learning the cell membrane of RBC, red blood cell, which can also be called as erythrocyte. In erythrocyte, the content of protein that is going to be found is 52%, and the content of lipid that is found is 40%. Clear? So in RBC, remember RBC, okay, it's called as red blood cell, or it can also be called as erythrocytes. This is the another name of RBC. What is the amount of lipid in the 40%, and what is the amount of protein in the cell membrane of RBC? 52%. This is the amount of lipid and protein in the cell membrane of RBCs. But it is not necessary that this quantity remains the same in all the cell. The quantity might going to vary. But it is clear that the cell membrane of any cell is made up of lipid and protein. It's made up of lipid and protein. Okay. Now we have to discuss what are the different types of a lipid they have. Okay. Usually there are three types of lipids. They can be found in the cell membrane. Which are the three types of lipid you can find in the structure of cell membrane? The first kind of a lipid you can find is phospholipid. The first type is phospholipid. The second one is called as glycolipid. This is the another lipid you can find in the cell membrane. And the third one you can find is a cholesterol. These are the three different types of lipids you can find in the structure of cell membrane. Phospholipid, glycolipid, cholesterol. Okay? The phospholipid, it occurs in highest proportion. This phospholipid, it occurs in highest. Okay? So it occurs in highest proportion. From all these three lipids, these all are lipids. Okay? That makes the lipid constituent of cell membrane. But the quantity of phospholipid is the highest in the structure of cell membrane. Clear? So that is about the lipid. Now regarding the proteins. In the cell membrane, there are two types of the protein are found. The first is called as peripheral protein, and the second one is called as integral protein. Clear? We have two different types of a protein that can be found in the structure of a cell membrane. Peripheral protein, and the second one is called as an integral protein. Peripheral protein is found on the surface of a cell membrane. Integral protein that is found either half inside or total inside the cell membrane. Later on we will discuss how they look alike. Okay? So the ultimate thing is that the cell membrane is consist of lipids and protein. The quantity of lipid and protein may going to vary depending on the type of a cell membrane and the type of a cell. Like in case of a RBC or erythrocyte, the amount of lipid is 40% and the protein is 52%. Lipid can be of three types. They are found in the cell membrane: phospholipid, glycolipid, cholesterol. But the phospholipid that occurs in a highest proportion. The proteins can be of two types: peripheral protein and integral protein. Peripheral protein that is present on the surface of cell membrane. Integral protein that is present either half inside or total inside of a cell membrane. So this is the overview of cell membrane, what the cell membrane consists of or what it biochemically consists of. Okay, now we go ahead and now we will learn what is the structure of cell membrane, what it has. Okay, so many scientists has proposed a structure of cell membrane. The lots of research have been done on the structure of cell membrane. Okay, and many scientists have proposed their theories for the structure of cell membrane. But the most accepted theory for the structure of cell membrane, that is the theory which was proposed by Singer and Nicholson. These are the two scientists who has proposed a structure of cell membrane or proposed a theory for the structure of cell membrane. This cell membrane structure is called as fluid mosaic model. What it can be called? It can be called as fluid mosaic model. Okay, the main characteristic of this, they says that the components found in the structure of cell membrane are fluid in nature. Okay, that means they are fluidic. Okay, they are not static, they are fluidic in nature, and that is able to explain many concepts related to a cell membrane. Okay, so this is called as fluid mosaic model. So who proposed this model? This model was proposed by Singer and Nicholson, and it is widely accepted model worldwide. Okay, now according to them, what is the structure of cell membrane? Okay, so we will try to learn what is the structure of cell membrane according to them. According to them, they consist of head. This is a head portion. Okay, and they are saying that there are two layers of, how many layers? Two layers of lipid. Okay, two layers of lipid, and each lipid molecule, they consist of head and tail. What it consists of? It consists of head and tail. Remember, there are two layers of a lipid. This is the first layer of a lipid. Just I am drawing, then I explain you. This is the first layer of a lipid. Okay, according to fluid mosaic model, there are two layers of lipid. This is the first layer of lipid. This is the second layer of a lipid. Okay, each lipid molecule, this is a single lipid molecule, this one, it consists of head and consists of a tail. So this portion is called as head and this portion is called as tail. Okay, so similarly this portion is called as tail and this portion is called as head. They are arranged back to back. They are arranged back to back. They are not arranged like this. See, this is a one lipid molecule. This is another lipid molecule. There are two layers, but they are not arranged like this. They are arranged back to back. Means the tail is facing the tail. Tail is facing a tail. This is the correct structure. This is wrong. Okay. So now what you have to learn, that the structure of lipid cell membrane, it consists of two layers of lipid. They are arranged back to back. Okay, and each lipid molecule consists of head and tail. What it consists of? Head and tail. Now, what are the characteristics of this head and tail? The head is polar in nature. The tail is non-polar in nature. Okay, remember the head is polar in nature. The tail is non-polar in nature. Okay, the tail is protected by the head on both the sides. This is the outer side of a cell and this is the inner side of a cell, but the tail portion, that is protected by it. Okay, now apart from that, this is is about a lipid. You also know that apart from it, it also contains the proteins. And the protein can be of two types. The protein that is found on the surface. The protein found on the surface is called as peripheral protein. And the protein that is half buried or totally buried, this is called as integral protein. What it is called as? Integral protein. There are two types of a protein you can find in the structure of a cell membrane: peripheral protein and integral protein. Peripheral proteins, they are found on the surface. Integral proteins either totally inside or half inside. Like this is a half inside, half outside, or it may be the total inside. That is also considered as integral protein. And now this is going to continue. Clear? So this is a structure of cell membrane. It is a structure of cell membrane. Okay? The components you can find is proteins and the lipids. They are fluidic in nature, which help in the transport of molecules. The molecule that travel from one side to another side of a cell, from one side to another side, or from this side to this side, with the help of this protein, they are fluidic in nature. They carry the molecule from one side to another side. Okay, so one of the function of this cell membrane, they help in the transportation of molecule. Okay, like you eat something or you take a glucose molecule, the glucose enter in the cell. How it enters in the cell? The protein that is present on the surface, they carry it inside the cell. Okay, or your cell generates a waste material. This waste material has to be removed out. So who remove this waste material from a cell? These are the proteins. They take it from inside to an outside. So the function of this protein, they help in the transportation of molecule. Okay. So that is about the structure of protein. In simple word, you can say that it can be easily explained by the cheese model. I call it as cheese model. Okay. You might have seen the cheese sandwich. In the cheese sandwich, there are two layers of bread, and in between these two layers of a bread, there is a presence of a cheese. Similarly, this structure it has. There are two layers of lipids, and the proteins are incorporated in between them. Okay, similar like a cheese sandwich. Okay, so this model is called as fluid mosaic model. Okay, and that is about the structure of cell membrane. Now you know that one of the most important function of cell membrane is transport of molecules across a cell membrane. It carries either from outside to inside or from inside to an outside. They carry or they transport the molecule across a cell membrane. And there are two types of transport processes. Remember, this is very important question. How many types of transport processes? There are two types of transport processes. First is called as active transport and the second one is called as passive transport. Clear? How many types of transport processes? There are two types of transport processes through which the molecule can go from one place to another place. So let's see what is the difference between an active and passive transport. In a passive transport, I first start with a passive transport. In a passive transport, the molecule will move from higher concentration to a lower concentration. I write full so you can understand. I have just written the short form of concentration. It is higher concentration to a lower concentration. So in passive, the molecule move from higher side to a lower side. Like suppose assume that here 7 sodium molecule and here it's a 2 sodium molecule. So if this molecule sodium is traveling through a passive transport, so obviously it move from this to this side. Okay, and in active transport the molecule will move from lower concentration to higher concentration. Clear? So if this is the sodium is traveling through an active transport, then it moves from this side to this side. It moves in this direction. Clear? So in passive, the molecule will move from higher concentration to a lower concentration. In active, it moves from lower concentration to a higher concentration. Clear? The next point, this is the first point. The next point is, like suppose I draw over here. This is a hill. It is ground level, this is the hill level, okay, top level. Now in the passive transport, the molecule is moving from higher side to lower side. So does it require energy to move from higher side to lower side, or in gliding? No, it does not require energy. So this process, passive process, does not require energy. But in active transport, the molecule moves from lower concentration to higher concentration. Like in active transport, the molecule moves like this, from lower to a higher. This is a lower and this is a higher. So when it is moving from lower to a higher side, it needs, when you are climbing, it needs energy. So this active transport requires energy. Okay, so the active transport requires energy, passive transport does not require energy. Clear? Now the third difference, in active transport, as it is moving from lower to higher, it's climbing. So this is known as uphill. It's called as uphill transport. Whereas in passive, as it is moving a downside, it is called as downhill transport. Clear? Next, the example of active transport is sodium, potassium pump. This is the example. And the example of passive transport is osmosis and diffusion. Okay, osmosis and diffusion. Okay, so this is a difference between active and passive transport. Even I can also add one more. So as it is, active transport is moving from lower concentration to higher concentration. You can say that here the transport occurs against concentration gradient. Means here the transportation occurs in the opposite direction of concentration gradient. But in passive transport, it occurs along concentration gradient. Means in this, the molecule moves in the direction of concentration, okay, or in the direction of concentration gradient. Okay, so this is a basic difference between the two types of transport process, active and passive. Okay, I again repeat, in active transport, the molecule will move from lower concentration to higher. In passive, the molecule moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. In active transport, it requires energy because it has to climb. In passive transport, it has to move down, so it does not require energy. Active transport can also be called as uphill transport. Passive transport is called as downhill transport. The example of active transport is sodium-potassium pump, and the example of passive transport is osmosis and diffusion. In active transport, it occurs against concentration gradient. In passive, it occurs along concentration gradient. So students, these are the structure of cell membrane, and it helps it, or it functions as a transport mechanism. Okay. So student, learn it. The another type of a cell envelope, that is a cell wall, we will discuss in the next session. Till then, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.